What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. These are my Draftkings MMA picks for UFC Qatar. We have Arman Tsarukyan going against Dan Hooker, and we got a fun card coming up this Saturday, early start time. Fights are kicking off at Saturday morning at 10 o'clock Eastern time, so looking forward to that. And yeah, 14-fight card. We got a lot to talk about. I say we get right into it. Before we do so, if you guys could like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave me a comment. All three of those things go a very long way and help out the channel. But if you want to help me out more, support me more, check out dfsbythenumbers.com. Check out that DFS option. You get access to my fighter stats, targets, projections, ownership projections, rankings, prize picks, underdog looks, lineup optimizer, DFS article, and much, much more. Check it out at dfsbythenumbers.com. All right, I say we get into the video. We're going to start with the fight. Doesn't go to decision lines. Up top, we have Yakayev Cerqueira minus 1,000 for the fight. Doesn't go the distance, and yeah, I think this fight finishes in the first round, probably in the first couple minutes, or at least it should. I just don't think Cerqueira really belongs in the UFC, and Yakayev is a guy that should go out there and handle him accordingly. But the big problem here is, we're having to lay 9,800 on Yakayev, so it's definitely tough to get to him, especially for me personally. Kind of struggled to get to Yakayev this week because there aren't really a ton of underdogs I like on the card. But yeah, he should go out there and should win this fight pretty easily. We have Freeman Bujlo minus 600 for the fight. Doesn't go the distance, and this was a fight that was just added, the most recent on DraftKings. They just got the salaries out, I believe, on Tuesday evening, Wednesday, and they have Denzel Freeman at 8,600 and Marek Bujlo at 7,600. This, I believe, is the first fight of the card, and I think it's a very important fight as well. Bujlo's a guy that has 6 fights, and if you add up the entire fight time for Bujlo, you don't even get like 7 minutes. This guy is getting in and he's getting out. He's a BJJ black belt. He's going to be looking to get the fight to the ground and find that early sub. So yeah, Bujlo at 7,600 makes some sense, but Freeman is kind of where I like. 8,600. This guy's fought the much better competition. He's going to have a big cardio advantage, you got to imagine, a massive striking advantage, you got to imagine. And we've just seen these BJJ guys come in here lately and just not, look that great and not have a ton of success, especially at heavyweight. So yeah, I think Freeman probably knocks him out early, but I do think somebody's getting served in that fight. Yeah, this is another great fight. Gaziv Spivak minus 400 for the fight. Doesn't go to decision. You have pretty much a striker versus grappler matchup where, on the feet, you got to heavily favor Gaziv. And not saying Spivak's the worst striker in the world. It's just, Spivak just hates getting hit. He's a guy that will look for the door if things aren't going his way. So a Gaziv early finish is very much on the table. But I also think Spivak's one of these guys that just, he's a confidence-based guy. If he gets the fight he wants, if he gets his game going, and if he gets rolling, he looks really good. So yeah, I feel like the winner is absolutely going to find his way onto the optimal lineup, whether that's an early Gaziv KO or whether that's a Spivak mauling. I think both are certainly on the table this week. And then we got Arman Tsarukyan and Dan Hooker, minus 210 for the fight. Doesn't go to decision. Yeah, I'm not going to be playing much Hooker, if any Hooker, really this weekend, to be honest. I just think it's a really bad matchup for him. I think Tsarukyan, should roll. So kind of a one-sided fight for me. I do think this fight probably finishes, and I think Tsarukyan probably gets that finish there. All right, getting into the core plays. Speaking of Arman Tsarukyan, 9,500. Yeah, I was looking through the record of Dan Hooker, and it's like he's just been so hit or miss these last couple of years. Like, even like back in 2021, 2022, people were calling this guy wash. People were, taking Claudio Poyas against this guy, and he's been kind of up and down. But what I noticed was, when Dan Hooker takes a step up in competition, he not only does he lose that fight, but Hooker's like getting destroyed, like Islam Makhachev, which there's no shame in that. But fought Arnold Allen, got knocked out in a couple minutes or a minute. He fought Michael Chandler, got knocked out in the first couple minutes. It's like when he's taking this step up in competition, he's losing, and he's losing very brutally. And now he's taking on Arman Tsarukyan, which is his toughest test. It's one of his toughest tests ever. Arman Tsarukyan's a very, very good fighter, very high-level fighter, and I think Tsarukyan's absolutely getting to Hooker at the right time. So I like Tsarukyan. I like him quite a bit. I think he has one of the highest, if not the highest, ceiling on the entire card with 25 minutes to work with, and I think Tsarukyan probably even gets a finish here at some point. Denzel Freeman, 8,600. Definitely, more of a sketchy spot here between two heavyweight guys making their debuts, but, we see a lot of money coming in on the Denzel Freeman money line, and the reason being is, he's fought the much better guys. He's fought real fighters with actual pulses. This guy's a wrestling background. You got to imagine he has the striking, the cardio advantage. We haven't seen this Bujo guy battle any adversity. We haven't really seen him much in general. He's going out there and beating these guys, but he's beating, very, very low-level fighters, whereas, this guy Freeman's actually fought some and beaten some very, very solid fighters. So, yeah, I like Freeman quite a bit. Again, it's risky. It's heavyweights, you never know, but I feel like Freeman should get the job done and by finish early as well. Shamil Gaziev, 8,400. Like we talked about, I mean, you're gonna want a piece of this fight. You can see two different outcomes: Spivak mauling or a Gaziev KO. I actually lean towards Gaziev by KO here, just because, man, I mean, Spivak just hates getting hit, and this guy's gonna hit you pretty dang hard. I mean, Jonathan Almeida knocked out Sergey Spivak. I mean, this guy Gaziev hits 20 times harder than Jonathan Almeida, I'll tell you that. So, yeah, I could see this going very poorly. Obviously, that's why you're gonna want to play some Spivak as well. But I feel like a first round Gaziev knockout is very much on the table this week. And then my titty back, Oral Boy, 9,000. I like the matchup for him. He's going against Jack Hermanson, who's now 37 years old. He's coming back way too soon after getting brutally knocked out against Gregory Rodriguez. He's cutting down to welterweight for no reason for the first time in his career. I just think there's a lot going against Jack Hermanson. I'm really worried about the durability. I'm really worried about if Jack will even make weight, on Friday. We'll have to see. But, even if he does make that weight, how much is that going to compromise the already compromised durability of Hermanson? So I think Orabai wins. I think Orabai probably even knocks him out as well. So at 9,000, I do like my titty back, Orabai. Getting into the GPP plays here, we got Luke Riley, 9,100. This is a fight that I think you're going to want a piece of. I mean, I think this is going to be one of the best fights on the card, to be honest. I think this has fight of the night written all over it. Luke Riley's a guy that wants to pressure forward and take your head off, a 75% knockout rate. And, a guy like Bogdan Grad is going to oblige in that type of fight for the most part. I think these guys are going to stand and bang until one man falls. I think this fight actually has a decent chance of finishing as well. So at 9,100, I don't mind some Riley there. Volkan Oezdemir, 8,000. He's actually 8,900. So 8,900 for Volkan Oezdemir. And yeah, I think he's so much better than Benefield. I mean, he's actually the younger guy, which it doesn't make sense, but it's true. I mean, he's the younger guy in this matchup. He's been fighting at a much higher level. I've never really liked Menafield's cardio. I've never really liked Menafield's durability. I think Oezdemir should pretty much cruise here, whether it's a decision or even a knockout. Wouldn't surprise me. This guy Menafield's been knocked out a few times throughout his UFC career. So yeah, Oezdemir, I think he's a decent spot this week, especially if he's getting that knockout. Also, Almabayev, 8,700. Another fight that I think is a good one to target, that Almabayev-Perez fight, because I love these striker versus grappler matchup fights on DK. Whoever gets their way is going to score very well. Like for UFC 322, the Sabatini-Chepe fight is like, Sabatini got his way. He scored very well. The Morales-Brady fight, Morales got his way. He scored very well. It's like, that's the case with a lot of these striker versus grappler matchups. Whoever's able to get their game going, they're going to score very, very well. And I think that's the case here with Almabayev. He's going against Perez, who Perez is coming off of a couple bad injuries. Perez is coming off of a pretty long layoff as well. I'm really worried about Alex Perez and the circumstances surrounding him. And if Almabayev gets down Perez, like we've seen Perez tapped out not once, not twice, not 3 times, not 4 times, but 5 times, and I think it could be 6 if Almabayev's able to get on top of Perez, who doesn't have the best submission defense. So I don't mind some Almabayev. The path is there to score very well. And then Beksat Amakan, 8,200. I don't mind some Amakan here. I think Amakan, this dude's legit. I mean, this guy hits very, very hard. He's fought really good competition. He's the more experienced fighter between him and, Topuria. This guy has been fighting for just as long as Topuria, but has, double the fights. I feel like on the feet, he's going to be a little bit higher volume. He's going to have a little more power. I could see a potential knockout. But yeah, I like Amakan here at 8,200 between him and Topuria. Don't really like Topuria this week. He's just too low volume for me. I really expect him to have a ton of grappling success. So if I was to pick one, it would absolutely be the Beksat side. Getting into the live dogs here, we got Sergey Spivak, 7,800. Again, striker versus grappler matchup. If Spivak gets going, this guy can. I mean, he can put up a big score. I mean, I think in terms of underdogs, and you're thinking about ceilings, like what is Spivak's ceiling? Well, his ceiling's just a mauling, just a mauling where he takes this guy down. If he gets back up, you take him back down. You wear on him, and then you finish him or win a decision type thing. So I think that can't be ignored. Although I am picking him to get knocked out, if Spivak gets going, this guy can put up a massive score at an underdog price tag. Ryan Loder, 7,700. I don't mind some Ryan Loder. Another striker versus grappler matchup, but I think Loder has a big advantage here on the mat against Nardiev. I don't like the takedown defense of Nardiev. Really don't like the ground game. Don't like the cardio of Nardiev. Don't like the heart of Nardiev. Don't like the durability of Nardiev. Of course, Nardiev's going to be the better striker, but if Loder can get takedowns here, get on top, not only do I think Loder's going to win, but I think he can finish, Nardiev here on the mat. I think he has a really good ground and pound, good submission game as well, and has a clear path here at an underdog price tag. So I don't mind some Loder at 7,800. And then Alex Perez, 7,500, we have to mention, because if he is stuffing these takedowns against Almabayev, not only is it going to be a close fight, but, might even, favor Alex Perez, on the feet. This guy does have big power. Almabayev, he's a guy that strikes me as a guy that just doesn't like to get hit, and, I could see Perez maybe landing something big on the feet. So, yeah, if Perez shows up, stuff these takedowns, he's absolutely a live dog. I think that's a kind of a big if, but we'll see. The path is there for Perez in a striker versus grappler matchup. And then Bilal Muhammad, 7,400. I don't mind some Muhammad. I'm not going to pick him to win this fight. I really don't like what I'm hearing from him this week in terms of the potential game plan, and really didn't like his game plan against Jack Della Maddalena. But yeah, I mean, if the Bilal of old shows up and comes out there with a good game plan and mixes in takedowns, pushes the pace, we could see this being a competitive fight, especially if he's able to get the wrestling going. So, and he's very durable, and I think this fight goes the distance at a very high clip. So yeah, 7,400 for a former champion. I don't think that's too bad, but he's got to come in there with the right game plan. Pump play here, I'm going to go Shamrock, 7,000. I think it's a solid pump play. I think he has all the finishing upside in the Aliyah fight. He's somebody that is coming in here with some hype. A lot of people trying to get behind him. I think it's a tough matchup for sure, but I don't like the cardio of Aliev, and I don't like the fact that Aliev has like a 20% finish rate, just finishing absolutely nobody. So yeah, if there's a finish, probably on the Shamrock side. Shamrock's a really, really dangerous grappler. He's going to kind of get a fight that takes place on the mat here. So I think there's some opportunities for Shamrock. And the other pump play I would say would be Bogdan Grad as well, 7,100. Just because Grad's a guy that's a dog. He has no quit in him. He has some wrestling upside. So yeah, Grad's another pump play that made some sense to me. And then the fade is going to be Abdul Rahman Yakayev. I think he wins. I think he destroys him. But holy crap, I mean, at 9,800, it's just a lot. Especially on this slate where, I'm not loving a ton of dogs. I think he wins. I think he wins dominantly. I think he wins in round one. But 9,800, like I'd rather save 300 and get Arman Tsarukyan, who has 25 minutes to work with type thing. So yeah, not going to be having a ton of Yakayev. If I can get to him, I'll put some in it, but I just can't. Like I really struggle to get Yakayev in there into a lot of my lineups. So pretty much going to be fading him this week. All right. There you guys have it. Thank you so much for watching. If you guys can do me a favor on the way out, like the video, subscribe to the channel, check out dfsbythenumbers.com. All content is posted and ready to go. We got an early start time, so I wanted to get content out a lot earlier this week. We got a week off next week, and then we have an absolute banger of a card with UFC 323 ending the year with a very solid pay-per-view. And yeah, looking forward to that. So guys, best of luck for UFC Qatar, and we'll talk to you guys soon. See you later.